Published.
Hi, I'm Mia J. I'm a co-author of A Swamp and Sea.
I'm Laurel Boulton. I am also co-author of Swamp and Sea.
Well, I guess to begin with, from all that writing that we do every day, we just kind of have generated over the years a backlog of stories and characters and just moments and scenes. And so when we decided, I think you were you still working at the company before? You were still had the office job at the time when we started
I
this,
think
right?
no,
Or had you just finished?
it was way before that. I think it for
When we started the
oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
was wrong.
you were an office job, you were miserable. I had just finished an ongoing project with another company, and I guess we just wanted to give it a shot and turning this hobby that we've always had into a real job, something that other people will see and experience. Obviously, we didn't know if we'd be able to actually make money doing this or do it any kind of permanently, but we just felt, I guess, it was worth, putting it in front of people, seeing what people thought of the stuff we were just making privately for each other. Um, and I think you probably came up with Webtoon as an option. I know you were reading more Webtoons before I was.
Yeah.
You were familiar with the platform, knew that there was a big audience there, and I had never drawn. I mean, I dabbled in webcomics before, but I'd never drawn an extensive, long project like that online. And it just seemed like the best platform to reach the audience. The Webtoon uses a vertical scrolling format, which is unique. And you kind of have to, as a visual artist, relearn some stuff and kind of adapt and figure out how best to move scenes along that move rather than page to page and down in a single line on and on until the end of the episode. So yeah, there was a learning process, but I really like that format actually in the end. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was a definite learning process and then a learning process again to adapt that back into a book,
Yeah.
page by page. And I think the extra effort we put into making sure I think one of the compliments we've gotten on the book from our readers and reviews is that you can't tell it was originally meant to be vertically scrolling. Me in particular is a perfectionist when it comes to that. So I think it reads now like it was always meant for the page, which was always her intent. So I think that was a whole nother learning curve as well.
Definitely.
Mercy Harding is a young woman who has recently lost her father, and she has lost her father to this mysterious beast of the woods, this creature made of mist. And her only choice is to hire a hunter to stop this from ever happening to anyone else.
Yes, that hunter ends up being Jonah, a mysterious, wandering kind of bounty hunter archetype, who, is used to showing up, getting the job done, quick and messy, taking the payment and moving on. She quickly figures out that there are things in his past that he's maybe running from. There's weight on his shoulders, but that's something that she has to slowly kind of explore and etch away at to understand more about, as he tries to solve the problem that she's hired him to do, and then the problems that branch off from there.
Yeah, the problems really multiply and their personalities begin to mesh. She is positive and loves to read and loves to explore and loves to adventure, whereas he's a lot more jaded and kind of burned by that adventure.
He's seen a lot of the world and carries the things that he's been through with him. I illustrate the pages, and Laurel's in charge of coloring. And so a lot of after we've written it, we have it in script format, and it's time for me to put it into a visual format. A lot of it goes into the acting of the characters. As I said, I had a background in film studies, so cinematography, mise en scène, compositional elements. It all kind of goes into it, and it's stuff that readers have kind of noticed from the beginning, I think, about this particular project. It really does allow you to define the character in small ways. We have a character that has a habit of, she'll play with her hands a lot. Just little features like that really make a character feel more real and alive.
And I think the benefit of it being illustrated is you can show all of that without repeating yourself very much. I think in prose format, if you're like, this character plays with their hands, you can say it about, 3 or 4 different ways before people are like, okay. Whereas it's in illustrated form with the acting that Mia puts into it, it really is just, it kind of is something that pervades the character without being like in your face over and over again.
Yeah, and I love, it's one of my favorite things, being able to have characters gesticulate in big or natural ways when they're arguing, or when they're passionate about things, or even like the smaller moments where they're not looking at each other, pointedly looking away. There's so much nuance that you can access and just always have at the forefront of the reading experience. um yeah, that's great.
I think as for the wolf, I think the nuance was definitely a bigger part of its character than some of the antagonists or the perceived antagonists. I think that we kind of left a little bit of it open to interpretation in terms of what is its motives, and that was something Mercy was discovering over the course of the story as well as the audience. We've had certain antagonists throughout that it was kind of funny because we updated the story to a live audience every week when it was originally coming out. And there are certain audiences, I mean, there were certain characters in which the audience really wanted to like be like, they're not so bad. We're like, yes, they are so bad. But the wolf was definitely one of those, you just need to, like, the reader needs to wait and see kind of situations.
Yeah, it's very, we put effort into making its design very visually beautiful. It's an aspect of nature. So on the one hand, you look at it and you want to admire it the way you would admire a sunset, or, an amazing old tree, for instance. But also, by the time the story begins, it's already done this horrible thing and it's murdered Mercy's father in a very grisly way. Um, so I think even just starting out, the audience is, there must be a reason for this. There must be an explanation. Maybe it's not so bad. Ultimately, there's also the question if it's just instinct, if it is just an animal. But yeah, that's definitely something that gets explored as well as the story goes on.